Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine the impossible becoming possible. Imagine stepping into a month where heaven's favor is unlocked over your life. Oh, I feel this so deeply. Someone here has been crying out for breakthrough, whispering late at night, Lord, is it my turn? And I tell you tonight, this is not just a dream. This is divine appointment. God is about to take what looked like lack, what looked like delay, what looked like defeat, and turn it into abundance that will leave you breathless. I can almost see the doors flinging open, contracts signed, opportunities that were once locked now swinging wide. It is not by your might, not by your cleverness, but by His Spirit moving in ways you cannot explain. There is a heavenly acceleration coming, and in 30 days your life will not look the same. When you begin to recognize the divine timing, something inside of you shifts. There is a rhythm to the Spirit of God, a pulse that beats beyond the clock and calendar of man, and when you step into that rhythm, you feel it in your bones that something is about to happen. You can no longer afford to live as though every day is ordinary, because you are not in an ordinary season. There is a prophetic window opening over your life, and you must become aware of it. To recognize divine timing is to discern that this is not just another month on the calendar. This is the appointed time for the answers you have been praying for, fasting for, believing for. Faith rises when you begin to see with spiritual eyes rather than natural ones. You begin to notice patterns, moments, conversations that feel charged with meaning, as though heaven is whispering, pay attention, I am doing something new. It is not enough to simply wish or hope that prosperity will come. You must align your faith with what God has already declared possible for you. Alignment is an active posture. It means you are no longer speaking words of lack, no longer expecting defeat, no longer rehearsing the failures of the past. Instead, you speak as though what you believe is already manifesting. When God promises overflow, He invites you to step into agreement with that promise, to walk as though it were already so. This is why faith is so powerful. Faith collapses the distance between promise and reality. When you recognize divine timing, you take your faith from theory into practice. You wake up expecting good news. You take bold steps toward your goals, even when your bank account does not yet reflect the millions you believe for. You refuse to entertain thoughts that contradict what you know God is able to do. To align with divine timing, you must also be sensitive to the voice of the Spirit. Sometimes what you receive in prayer is not a detailed plan but a gentle nudge, a sudden idea, a door you did not expect to open. If you are too busy, too distracted, you might miss these moments. This is why stillness is important, because in stillness your spirit becomes tuned to heaven's frequency. You start noticing divine appointments, people you meet by coincidence, opportunities that show up just when you were about to give up, messages that confirm what you were praying about in secret. This awareness builds confidence. You realize you are not forgotten. You are right on time. Recognizing divine timing also demands that you release control over how the blessing comes. You cannot force the door open, but you can prepare for it to open. You can organize your finances, sharpen your skills, position yourself so that when the opportunity arrives, you are ready to handle it. Many miss their season because they were not prepared when the door opened. Preparation is a demonstration of faith. When you make room for abundance, you are telling heaven, I am ready. Clean out the old mindsets, the old habits that cannot go with you into this next level. Make space for new strategies, new partnerships, new streams of income. Faith alignment also means guarding your confession. What you say about your future shapes what you step into. Speak words that agree with God's promise. Instead of saying, I will never get out of debt, declare, I am walking into financial freedom. Instead of saying, I will always struggle, declare, I am stepping into overflow. Your words are like seeds, and in this season you cannot afford to sow seeds of fear and doubt. Speak life until it feels real. Speak life until it shifts the atmosphere around you. When you truly recognize the divine timing and align with it, fear begins to lose its grip. You stop worrying about missing out because you know that God's timing is perfect. You stop comparing yourself to others because you know your breakthrough has its own appointed hour. You stop doubting whether you are worthy because you realize that grace has qualified you for blessings you could never earn. Faith alignment is not passive. It is active. It is expectant. It is contagious. People around you begin to notice the change in you. They see the light in your eyes, the confidence in your walk, the authority in your words. You become a magnet for divine opportunities because you are no longer resisting what heaven is releasing. ChatGPT said, breaking free from limiting beliefs is one of the most important steps toward receiving supernatural wealth because what you believe sets the boundaries for what you can receive. Many people live their entire lives with invisible walls around their potential, not because God put them there, but because their minds were trained to expect only what they have already seen. If you grew up around scarcity, if you were told that money is evil, if you were taught that success only happens to other people, then those beliefs have taken root deep inside you. They are like invisible chains that keep you from stepping into the abundance God has prepared. To break free, you must first recognize those thoughts for what they are, lies that contradict the truth of who God says you are. God calls you blessed, not cursed. He calls you the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. He promises that He will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. When your mind is filled with thoughts of limitation, you unconsciously sabotage your own progress because you cannot see yourself living beyond those limits. The battle begins in the mind. You have to confront the inner critic, the voice that says, you will never have more than enough. You are not smart enough. You will never get ahead. That voice is not from God. And until you silence it, it will continue to dictate the size of your dreams. Breaking free means replacing those thoughts with truth. You begin to speak and meditate on scriptures and affirmations that remind you of your inheritance as a child of God. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, you begin to say, I am being positioned for abundance. Instead of saying, people like me don't get rich, you say, I am chosen and God delights in my prosperity. The mind must be renewed daily because old beliefs have been reinforced for years. You are reprogramming your mental environment to expect breakthrough. Another part of breaking free from limiting beliefs is changing what you allow into your ears and eyes. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, scarcity thinking, or people who criticize every dream you share, then those influences keep you small. You must be intentional about what you consume. Read books that expand your vision. Listen to sermons, teachings, and testimonies that remind you of what is possible. Surround yourself with people who are faith-filled, who speak life, who dream big, and inspire you to rise higher. Your environment has power to shape your mindset. So if you want to think differently, you must create a different environment. Sometimes breaking free means walking away from circles that keep you in bondage, not because you don't love them, but because you refuse to stay trapped in the same cycle. When you begin to believe that more is possible, your behavior starts to shift naturally. You stop settling for what is convenient and start pursuing what is excellent. You make decisions from a place of expectation rather than desperation. Limiting beliefs often make you shrink back from opportunities because you fear failure or rejection, but once those beliefs are broken, you begin to take bold steps. You apply for opportunities you once thought were out of reach. You start the business idea you kept hidden in your heart. You invest in yourself because you believe you are worth it. This inner transformation is powerful because it signals to heaven that you are ready for more. God often waits for us to expand our mindset before He releases the next level of blessing. If your mind cannot hold the vision, your life cannot hold the reality. Breaking free from limiting beliefs also means forgiving yourself for past mistakes. Many people stay stuck in lack because they secretly believe they do not deserve better. They replay every wrong decision, every missed opportunity, every failure, and they punish themselves by staying small. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison door. When you forgive yourself and receive God's grace, you stop living in the past and start moving toward the future. You begin to see yourself as worthy of wealth, worthy of success, worthy of miracles. And this shift attracts new possibilities because your spirit is no longer weighed down by shame. Once the limiting beliefs are broken, you must guard your mind so they do not return. Doubt and fear will try to creep back in when you face challenges, but you must stay rooted in truth. Keep affirming, keep declaring, keep aligning with God's promises. Every time you choose faith over fear, the old patterns lose their power. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes until you are no longer the same person who once thought small. You are renewed, expanded, and ready to receive supernatural wealth. Cultivating radical gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to attract abundance and shift the spiritual atmosphere around your life. Gratitude is not merely saying, thank you. When something good happens, it is a posture of the heart that chooses to see goodness even when the circumstances have not yet changed. When you live in gratitude, you open the door for more blessings to flow because you are signaling to God and to the universe that you are ready to steward what you have been given. Gratitude multiplies what it touches. Even Jesus, before feeding the 5,000, took the little that was in his hands, just 5 loaves and 2 fish, and gave thanks. That act of thanksgiving released multiplication. In the same way, when you look at what you already have and express gratitude for it, you create room for it to increase. Lack often breeds complaint, and complaint closes the door to favor. Gratitude, on the other hand, opens it wide. Practicing gratitude requires intentionality because it is easy to focus on what is missing rather than what is present. When you are believing for financial breakthrough, you might be tempted to only see the bills stacking up or the debts you still owe. But gratitude shifts your attention to what is working. Maybe you have a roof over your head, food to eat, a mind capable of dreaming, breath in your lungs, people who love you. When you begin to list those things daily, you retrain your brain to see provision instead of lack. This change in focus does not just affect your mood, it affects your faith. Faith grows in the soil of gratitude because gratitude reminds you that God has been faithful before, and He will be faithful again. Gratitude also shifts the spiritual climate in your home and your mind. When you speak words of thanks, you push back against the heaviness of fear and anxiety. Your words create atmosphere, and when your words are filled with gratitude, they invite peace. Imagine starting your morning not by scrolling through bad news or worrying about what you lack, but by declaring out loud, "Thank you, Lord, for waking me up. Thank you for this new day. Thank you that something good is coming my way." That kind of declaration shifts the way you walk into the day. It makes you more expectant, more alert to opportunities, more aware of blessings that might have gone unnoticed. Radical gratitude also means being thankful in advance. You don't wait until the millions are in your account to say, "Thank you." You start thanking God now as though it has already happened. This is faith in action. It is a way of saying, "I trust you so much that I am celebrating before I see it." That kind of faith moves mountains. It moves you out of worry and into worship. It creates a magnetic pull that draws your miracle closer. When you are grateful for what is coming, you begin to act as though it is already here. You plan differently. You speak differently. You make decisions from a place of abundance rather than desperation. Gratitude also transforms relationships and attracts the right people into your life. People are drawn to someone who radiates thankfulness because gratitude is life, giving. It creates an atmosphere where others feel valued and seen. When you express appreciation to those who support you, to mentors, to partners, you strengthen those connections. Gratitude builds bridges that can lead to divine partnerships and open doors you could not open alone. Even in business, gratitude is a magnet. Clients, investors, and collaborators are more likely to trust and work with someone who operates from a spirit of thankfulness rather than entitlement. Another dimension of radical gratitude is being thankful even for the challenges that taught you lessons. This is not easy, but it is powerful. When you can look back at seasons of loss or hardship and thank God for the wisdom you gained, the strength you built, the character that was formed, you are no longer bitter, you are better. Gratitude transforms pain into fuel for purpose. It allows you to move forward without carrying resentment. And that emotional freedom is necessary if you are to receive and sustain wealth. Bitterness blocks blessing because it keeps you tethered to the past. Gratitude breaks that tether and propels you forward. The more you practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes until it becomes your default state. You begin to see blessings where others see problems. You find opportunities where others see obstacles. And you feel rich even before the money shows up. This inner wealth prepares you for the outer wealth that is on its way. Gratitude does not deny reality. It reinterprets it through the lens of faith And when you live this way consistently, the atmosphere around your life becomes fertile ground for miracles. ChatGPT said, acting in bold faith is what takes you from waiting for a miracle to walking into one. Bold faith is not passive. It does not sit on the sidelines hoping for something to change. It steps out into the unknown, trusting that God will meet you there. There is a difference between wishing and believing. Wishing waits for conditions to be perfect, but believing moves even when the conditions look impossible. Acting in faith means taking steps as though the promise has already been fulfilled. If you are believing to be a millionaire in a month, bold faith causes you to prepare as though that breakthrough is imminent. You start researching investments, organizing your finances, creating systems that can hold the weight of the wealth you are expecting. Faith without works is dead, so the evidence of your faith is in the actions you take. Bold faith also requires risk, because faith and comfort rarely coexist. You may feel a prompting to take an opportunity that scares you, to have a conversation that could change everything, to sow a seed financially when it feels like you have little to spare. These actions stretch you, but they also position you for supernatural results. Many people pray for blessings but never change their behavior, and as a result, they miss the divine timing. Bold faith acts even when fear is present, even when you cannot see the entire path. Like Peter stepping out of the boat to walk on water, you may feel shaky, but you keep your eyes on the one who called you out. Acting in faith is not reckless. It is intentional and spirit-led. It listens for divine instruction and obeys even when logic says it doesn't make sense. Sometimes faith will require you to make small daily steps of obedience, like finishing the project you started, applying for the position you've been avoiding, or following through on an idea that has been nudging your spirit for months. Other times, faith will call you to make a big leap, to step into a new season that requires you to leave behind what is familiar. Either way, bold faith requires movement. If you are standing still, waiting for everything to align perfectly, you may never move. When you act in faith, you create momentum, and momentum attracts more opportunities. Doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed because you were willing to take the first step. Faith creates a chain reaction in the natural and the spiritual. When heaven sees that you are serious, that you are willing to move even without all the answers, provision begins to flow. Resources appear, helpers show up. Wisdom comes at the exact moment you need it. This is why acting in faith feels so exhilarating, because you begin to see God's hand moving in real time. Bold faith also silences the inner critic that tells you to wait, to hold back, to play small. It takes courage to believe you are worthy of abundance, to believe that your dreams are not too big, to believe that you can step into a future that looks completely different from your past. Bold faith chooses to agree with God's vision over the voices of doubt, both internal and external. It refuses to let fear be the final authority. You may still feel fear, but you act anyway. Each time you act, your faith grows stronger and fear grows weaker. Acting in faith also inspires others around you. People are watching how you respond to this season, and your boldness becomes a testimony that encourages them to rise up in their own lives. Faith is contagious when others see you moving forward with confidence. They are stirred to believe that it is possible for them too. This is how one person's obedience can set off a chain of miracles in an entire community. Bold faith also teaches you to be persistent. Sometimes the first door you knock on will not open, and that is where many people stop. But faith does not quit after the first setback. It keeps knocking, keeps seeking, keeps pressing until the breakthrough comes. Persistence is proof that you truly believe. If you gave up after one disappointment, you were not fully convinced. Bold faith is stubborn in the best way. It refuses to settle for less than what God has promised. It keeps showing up, keeps working, keeps expecting until the miracle is visible. Each act of faith is like planting a seed, and even if you do not see the harvest immediately, you trust that something is growing beneath the surface. This trust allows you to move with confidence and keep taking steps until the abundance manifests. ChatGPT said, guarding your heart from fear, doubt, and negative voices is one of the most crucial things you can do when you are believing for a major breakthrough. Your heart is the wellspring of your life, and what takes root there will eventually shape your words, decisions, and outcomes. If you allow fear and doubt to settle in your heart, they will contaminate your faith and choke out the promise before it even manifests. Fear is a thief. It robs you of your courage, your clarity, and your ability to act. Doubt is a paralyzer. It keeps you second, guessing every decision until you miss the moment. Guarding your heart means becoming intentional about what you allow to influence you, because not every voice deserves access to Spirit in this critical season. When you are believing for something as extraordinary as becoming a millionaire in 1 month, you must protect your mind and emotions from negativity at all costs. There will always be voices around you telling you that it cannot be done, that you are being unrealistic, that you should lower your expectations. Sometimes those voices come from well-meaning friends or family who cannot see what you see. Other times, they come from the enemy whispering lies to keep you stuck in the same cycle. Guarding your heart means discerning which voices are aligned with God's promises and which are not. You must be willing to lovingly silence the ones that plant fear or unbelief. This might mean spending less time with people who drain your faith and more time with those who speak life. It might mean turning off the news or social media that constantly bombards you with scarcity and hopelessness, and instead filling your spirit with testimonies, teachings, and affirmations that strengthen your faith. Your heart also needs to be guarded from comparison, because comparison can quickly turn into envy, discouragement, and distraction. If you spend all your time looking at what others have, you may begin to doubt whether there is enough left for you. You may start to feel as though your breakthrough is late or that you have been overlooked. Guarding your heart means staying focused on your own journey, trusting that your timing is unique and that your blessing has your name on it. The success of others is not a threat to your own. It is proof that abundance is possible and available. Let their wins encourage you rather than discourage you. Another way to guard your heart is through the practice of meditation and prayer. When you spend time in God's presence, He strengthens your inner man and reminds you of His faithfulness. Prayer builds a shield around your spirit, making it harder for fear to penetrate. Meditation on Scripture renews your mind and keeps you anchored in truth when lies try to creep in. When worry tries to take over, you can speak the word out loud and shift the atmosphere around you. This is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing which reality you will agree with, the one you see with your natural eyes or the one God has promised. Guarding your heart also involves being careful about what you say in moments of pressure. Your words have power, and in seasons of waiting, it can be tempting to speak frustration or hopelessness. But when you guard your heart, you guard your tongue as well. You refuse to curse your own future with words of doubt. Instead, you declare faith-filled statements even when it feels difficult. You might say, I am expecting a financial miracle. I am walking into overflow. I will not fear lack because God is my provider. Speaking these truths out loud not only strengthens your heart, but also shifts your emotional state. It is also important to guard your heart through boundaries. Boundaries with people, with your time, with your thoughts. Protect your peace. If you know certain conversations always leave you feeling drained, excuse yourself from them. If you know certain habits open the door to worry or distraction, replace them with habits that build you up. Create an environment that supports your faith journey, one that nurtures your spirit rather than depletes it. Finally, guarding your heart requires consistency. It is not something you do once, it is something you practice daily. Every morning, choose to put on peace like armor. Choose to fill your heart with gratitude, hope, and expectation before the day even begins. When fear tries to creep in, confront it immediately instead of letting it grow. The more diligent you are about guarding your heart, the more resilient your faith becomes, and the stronger your expectation grows for the breakthrough you are believing for. ChatGPT said, preparing yourself mentally and spiritually to steward sudden financial increase wisely is just as important as receiving the increase itself. Many people pray for abundance but are unprepared to handle it when it comes, and as a result, the blessing slips through their fingers. Preparation is a sign of expectation. It says, I believe the breakthrough is coming and I am ready for it. Mentally, you must begin to shift from a survival mindset to a stewardship mindset. A survival mindset is focused only on getting through the day, paying the next bill, and barely keeping up. A stewardship mindset looks ahead, plans, and seeks to multiply what is given. This means educating yourself about finances, about investments, about budgeting, so that when the money arrives, you know how to manage it rather than letting it control you. Wisdom is what preserves wealth once it is in your hands, and wisdom must be cultivated before the breakthrough, not after. Preparing mentally also means confronting any fears you have about success, because the Holy Spirit will. Some people fear wealth because deep down they have been taught that money will change them for the worse, or that they will lose relationships if they prosper. You must settle in your heart that financial increase is not just about you, it is about impact. When you have more, you can give more, help more, create more opportunities for others. Abundance in the right hands is a tool for transformation. This perspective frees you from guilt about prospering and allows you to embrace the blessing fully when it comes. Mentally preparing also means setting new standards for yourself. If you know that your financial status will change soon, you can begin to organize your life in a way that reflects where you are going. This might mean paying off small debts now, clearing out unnecessary clutter, or even making a plan for how you will allocate the first portion of your increase toward giving, saving, and investing. These mental exercises condition you to think like someone who is already living in overflow. Spiritually, preparation is even more critical. Wealth can amplify whatever is in your heart, so if there are unresolved issues, they can quickly become magnified when resources increase. This is why spending time in prayer and reflection is essential. Allow God to purify your motives and align your desires with His purpose. Pray for wisdom, for discernment, for humility to handle the blessing well. Ask God to show you the purpose behind the wealth, because when you know the purpose, you will be less likely to waste it on distractions. Spiritual preparation also involves developing the fruit of self-control, so that sudden prosperity does not lead to reckless decisions. You must train yourself to pause, to seek guidance, to think before spending or investing, to ask whether a decision aligns with your long-term vision. Another layer of preparation is emotional maturity. Sudden financial increase can sometimes attract envy, criticism, or opportunistic people. If you are not emotionally grounded, you can easily become overwhelmed or defensive. Preparing means deciding ahead of time how you will respond, with grace, with healthy boundaries, with wisdom. It also means preparing for generosity. Decide in advance that you will be a channel of blessing, not just a container. When you have already chosen to be generous, you will not hesitate when the opportunity comes to give. This keeps your heart open and ensures that the flow of abundance continues. Practical preparation is also part of this process. Make sure you have a plan for how to handle large sums of money responsibly. This could mean consulting a financial advisor, setting up accounts to separate your spending from your savings, or creating systems for tracking your income and expenses. Preparation also means taking care of your health, your relationships, and your personal development, because wealth without balance can quickly become a burden. The goal is not just to become rich, but to become whole, to live a life of peace and purpose while managing the increase. Ultimately, preparing yourself mentally and spiritually positions you to receive the blessing without being crushed by it. It builds capacity within you to handle the responsibility that comes with financial abundance. When the increase arrives, you will not be caught off guard or scrambling to figure out what to do. Instead, you will be ready to multiply it, to protect it, and to use it in alignment with your higher calling. This readiness ensures that the blessing lasts, that it grows, and that it becomes a legacy rather than a fleeting moment.